It's Local Edition. I'm Brad Pomerance in the Coachella Valley today, joined by Greg Pettis. He is the Mayor Pro Tem of the city of Cathedral City. And you know me, I'm a nerd. I like local government issues, and I want to hold up this map. And what we're looking at, this area is Cathedral City.
Correct.
Which has about 55,000 residents?
Right about that.
Okay. Recently, Cathedral City annexed this area, where there are lines through. What is that area?
It was part of the Thousand Palms neighborhood, but it, for folks here, would be Duval Road on the west and Bob Hope on the east.
Now, if we look at this area where there is a SOI, what does SOI mean?
That's sphere of influence.
Right.
And that's a county designation that even though the county still has all land use decisions, Cathedral City is notified and we can make comment on any of those things because it's land that we at some point would be annexing into the city.
And that's the key. Cathedral City is looking to annex a fairly significant amount of land in this area right here. And I want to get a sense from you, how does that happen?
Well, it's a lengthy process. Obviously, environmental studies have to be done.
Right.
We have to put in to the county what our zoning would be for that area, if we would maintain county standards, if we would go into city standards. We've already told the residents there we would do some kind of an overlay because it is a rural area.
Okay.
And some of them have more rural animals.
Oh, I understand.
Than we would have in an urban setting.
And so you'll allow them?
So we would allow that.
I understand.
We would do that kind of overlay. But we have to do all those kinds of studies. So it's at least an 18-month process even to get before the county to do that kind of transition.
And every county has what's known as a local agency formation commission, LAFCO.
Correct.
And LAFCO makes the ultimate decision, is that right, sir?
Yes.
Now, residents can weigh in.
Oh, absolutely.
How does that work? It's not the residents of the existing city.
Right.
It's the new areas.
Yes, they certainly participate in any public meeting. We have ongoing meetings quarterly right now, and those will increase to monthly, I would say, within the next few months. But they have an opportunity to speak on those issues. They have an opportunity to protest.
I see.
Once a formal application is submitted, then the residents, if they do not want to come into Cathedral City, they can circulate a petition.
Right.
If they reach a certain number, and honestly, I don't know what that percentage is, it would go to a vote of those residents. Of those residents,
not existing residents.
Correct.
Why does Cathedral City want to annex this area?
I think there's a number of reasons. Obviously, there's a large land mass there that we feel would be beneficial to the city to have. We feel that the residents that are there are more aligned with our existing residents.
I understand.
From an economic development standpoint, it's 10 miles of freeway frontage.
Aha, right, because let me show, Mike, you see right here, this is what?
That's Interstate 10.
That's Interstate 10, and so there's no doubt that this area presumably could benefit with Cathedral City involvement.
Right, and it goes from what currently is Bob Hope all the way down to Washington.
Right.
So the Classic Club would be included, Xavier High School would be included, any number of existing uses, but there's also a lot of vacant land that could be developed.
And it's not as if you're getting, if I can use a poor word, greedy, because if you look at this area right here, one could say, well, why doesn't Cathedral City grab this? Well, no, this is actually in the Rancho Mirage sphere of influence. So if they should choose to, they could.
And they have plans already for what they're going to do.
Okay.
Mostly residential,
but
that fits that community.
Perfect. Speaking of cities and the city's approach to certain public policy issues, Cathedral City is now looking at the question of how it defines itself in terms of its documented and undocumented population. Talk to us about what's known as sanctuary city status.
Well, we've had a lot of people, especially since the presidential election, come to us and say, oh, you ought to become a sanctuary city. We want you to designate yourself as such.
Right.
We're taking a different and more holistic approach, and we have already classified ourselves as an inclusive city.
Huh.
And we have had on our books for a number of years policies that preclude the police department from assisting in immigration standards.
Okay.
We've now taken our policy and expanded it beyond just law enforcement to every city department, so that any resident of Cathedral City, regardless of national origin, ethnicity, sexual orientation, gender identity, we don't look at any of that in terms of city services or in terms of our response in terms of the federal government.
Why?
Because we believe that everyone that lives in our city is equal. We believe that everyone needs a voice. Everyone needs to feel that they are safe in their homes and in their city.
Could one argue, look, if you're here, and you shouldn't be because you don't have documentation, a level of government should assist another level of government to effectuate your removal?
That's an argument to be made. We also believe, though, if we did that there would be a large segment of the population that would not want to report a crime. If they're attacked, if they're robbed, or if they see someone that's been robbed, they're not going to step up. And
it's interesting you mentioned that.
We need everyone to participate in our community. If the federal government wishes to take that role, that's their responsibility. Now, if our police department arrests someone because they break the law, a state or local law, and they're transported from our jurisdiction to the county, then that's up to the county sheriff in terms of what they do.
And that's
for Cathedral City, we're not going to participate.
And that's what's kind of so ironic is we talk about sanctuary cities, but the reality is where the ire gets raised for folks that are opposed to sanctuary cities is when criminal justice interacts with someone who's undocumented. Cathedral City doesn't really do that. Like you said, I mean, there may be a municipal violation, but if it's a real crime, they go to Riverside County.
Go to jail.
And that's not your area, so if anything, we should be talking about sanctuary counties, because those are the ones that are interacting with the criminal justice system. The question becomes, though, how far do you take this? We know Miami-Dade, for example, the mayor said, oh, we're done. You know, we're not a sanctuary city. We're not regardless of how you define it, I mean, do you go to the mat if the president should say, if you're a sanctuary city, inclusive city, we're pulling your funds?
Well, you know, we don't get a whole lot of federal funds at the city level. I mean, we get community development block grant funds
money
at about $100,000 a year. We get some federal grants for our police force that we use for bulletproof vests, those kinds of things. But if we were going to be looking at losing some federal funds over this, we'd probably say, keep your money.
Interesting.
Because
that's a bold statement.
Our people have value, and they are the ones that are creating jobs. They own homes in our community. They own businesses. Cathedral City, we are not a community of large, big box retailers. We're small mom and pop businesses. And for the most part, when you have a community of 60% Hispanic, you know there's a large number that are undocumented. They have every right, from our perspective, to participate wholly and freely in our community.
His name is Greg Pettis. He is the Mayor Pro Tem of the beautiful city of Cathedral City, where I drove through today to come to the studio because we're in the Coachella Valley right now. My name is Brad Pomerance. We thank you so much for joining us on Local Edition.